Hello, everyone. Hello, good afternoon. This is Thursday afternoon, and I am Dr. White, and I'm generally your Bible teacher, expository teaching, where we're studying in the book of Daniel. I hope you guys can hear me well. Kind of in a situation where mics are not working that good, but anyway, I want to let you know that today I'm going to be journeying on a little vacate. I've been moving a lot and going to do a little vacation in Aruba with my oldest daughter and oldest child. Actually, she's approaching 40, so we're going to be celebrating over there. And for those of you that normally join us on Thursdays for our Bible studies, I want to plug something in so that you can continue your routine on Thursdays and you won't be left out. I'm going to be watching it too as well. What I'm going to be doing is actually sharing an episode that my best friend, one of my good friends, Dr. Eric Edwards, and his staff have started a podcast called Kingdom Voices that deals with right relationships, right relationship with each other. You and I, our friends and co-workers, I think they started out with that on yesterday, Tuesday, that episode number 1. And today we're going to deal with, they're going to deal with relationships as couples, married or unmarried. And they're going to share a little bit with us on their panel called the Kingdom Voices. So we're going to bring them up, and as we bring them up, go ahead and enjoy this panel, good talk show that's going to be growing and doing a great job. So we wanted to be able to support them and put them within our our platform, and help them get lifted and get started ministering to the people that God has placed before them. I want to also acknowledge I want to share our founding members, Reverend Arthur and Doretha George, the Rev and mother to me, and I told them that I want to celebrate them all week long on their wedding anniversary, their 35th wedding anniversary. And here's to another year of love, laughter, and cherished memories, and happy anniversary. We appreciate all that you do, and for this ministry to continue to make it go around the world. We wonder who it is that keeps us going and got us started. They are those charter members, those founding members who have allowed us to be able to reach the world. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and move you in so you can go ahead and listen to this great panel, as you can see, Kingdom Voices, where they're going to be having real conversation. And today they're again talking about married and unmarried relationships. Enjoy the show. I won't be able to comment today. I want you to let you know that too. Since this is recorded, we're not able to highlight your comments, but do participate. Make the comments as the broadcast goes around the world. People will see your engagement and probably encourage someone by you just participating, and it helps the algorithms also to push out the broadcast throughout the world. So sit back, get some coffee. Well, it's noonday, so about football game about to come on. I guess get you something to sip on, or maybe, I don't know. But go ahead and enjoy the conversation. And we'll be back next week. Well, Sunday we'll come back. My mentor will be preaching on Sunday. And next week I'll be back, and we'll be in Daniel chapter 2, beginning Daniel chapter 2. And why it is that we have to preach and share the gospel with the world as the Lord prepares to come back. You are tasked with that. So enough about that. We'll get to that next week. So again, go ahead and enjoy this show, and we'll be back with you on Sunday and next week. God bless you. And again, happy anniversary to Reverend and Mother George.
Welcome to Kingdom Voices again. This is our second episode. I'm your host, Dr. Eric D. Edwards. And again, I have my fantastic panelists with me. All right.
Hey guys, Bianca, happy to be back in the house with you today.
Hey, Deanna here. Glad to be here. Pastor Eric Little, good being with you guys today.
Okay, remember we've been talking about we were made for relationships. God does not want you to be alone. You're not on an island by yourself. And we talked about the vertical relationship that we must have with God and the horizontal relationships we have with others. What does that form? The perfect cross. That's exactly right. Go look at the cross once, the one that you're wearing around your neck, you know, that kind of cross. Wear that one and see it. It forms the perfect one, vertical, horizontal. Listen, we are thrilled to be able to be with you one more time. Subscribers, click that button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. And we have a special guest with us today. It's going to be incredible. We'll bring her out just in a few moments. But let's talk about these relationships. You know, we talked about the relationship we have with our Creator. Now, guess what, Pastor E? We get to talk about relationships between each other. And the first relationship was between what? Man and woman, between Adam and Eve, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we got a lot to dive into, man. This is, you know, this might be a war between us, man, right now. You know, it's supposed to be togetherness now.
But you know, Pastor, I think God does not want us to be alone. He don't want us to be alone.
Wow. But listen, the Bible states that in the beginning, God created Adam and Eve. All right. And that simply means that he put two people together to be a blessing to one another. So often these podcasters tear each other down. We're not here to tear each other down. We're not here to have a war between the sexes. That is not God's purpose for us. God's purpose is for us to try to figure each other out the way God designed us. Remember, I talked about the designer, the maker, the orchestrator, the one who put us together. He is the one who makes us to be who we are. We are the sheep of his pasture. Now, the reason why we're called Kingdom Voices is because Jesus said, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not hear. We understand there are so many different strange voices out there telling you about this, telling you about that, telling you about all the nuances of relationships. So as we talk about our next relationship between others, that puts us between the spouse, the significant other, that type of thing. And then we're going to be targeting Generation Z. For you all who don't know who Generation Z is, it's the Zoomers. That's right, the Zoomers. Those are the ones who are in our generation now who are going to take the world by storm because they believe that they are here to make a difference. That Generation Z. We talked about Generation Alpha just before that. That is that generation that's up for grabs. No one knows about that particular generation. My son's generation, which is Eden, you all seen me. Many of you, if you go on my Facebook page, can see me with my son Eden from ages 1 to 10. That's the Alpha generation. But we're going to be talking about the Zoom generation, that the Zoomers that going to help us to bring back the original purpose in which God had us. So as we talk about these relationships, Eric, Pastor Eric, one of the things that I think about is, you know, God was up to something when he put the man to sleep and took from him, from his anatomy, the rib or the side, right? Not behind, not in front, but, and said, a helpmeet. This is a helpmeet. Pastor E, lead us out. Talk about that, man, because you are a married man. I'm a single man. You're a married man. Talk about that, brother. Come on. Talk about it.
You know, I'm just playing. I'm just joking, guys. A little humor, okay? But guys, really, in Genesis, God said that it wasn't good for man to be alone, to be all one. And so therefore he put him to sleep. And I do believe that it is God's desire, whether we are married or whether we are unmarried, he still does not desire for us to be alone, all one. And so I think that the married relationship reflects the relationship, as we talked about in the last episode. It reflects our relationship with God. God expects, in the scriptures it says, for me to love my wife as Christ loved the church. So to be in communion with my wife or to be in relationship with her is just an example or a reminder of that relationship that comes between me, that established between us and God when we give our heart to him, when we acknowledge Jesus as Lord, and then we submit to him. And in a marriage, we have to submit one to another. And so relationship is not just about one person, it's about two people coexisting together, connecting, talking, listening to one another. And I have to point that back to our relationship with God. If we don't know how to sit and be quiet and quiet ourselves and listen to God, you will not listen to another one. You will not listen to a wife. You will not listen to a significant other, because you haven't trained yourself to learn how to quiet yourself so that you can hear and understand. And so I think the married relationship is just teaching us how to walk in relationship with God. But it's not teaching us how to walk in relationship with God. It gives us a platform to model the relationship with another person.
Wow, listen, Eric, you were saying something earlier about the relationship and pleasing, because we're going to talk about pleasing each other and all that stuff. But you were saying that you wanted to go back to the idea that we cannot please God with works, but what do we please God with?
We please God with faith. Faith that produces hope. We lose hope, then we start, drawing away to things that a lot of times draw us away from God, because we start trying to find a filler in people, find filler in food, find filler in sex, find filler in all these things that are never supposed to be all sustaining. And so when I stated that we cannot please God. We cannot please God in our own righteousness.
Yeah,
in our own righteousness. It's not, you can't be good enough for God to say, yeah, you good. Yeah, you are. You know what?
Yeah.
Everybody just do what you do and we're going to be all right with me. No, it was about the work that Jesus did on the cross. That righteousness and the faith that we put in him as we yield our life to him daily is what pleases God. Faith pleases God.
That's right.
And the righteousness of Christ that is ascribed to our life when we submit to God through Christ is what pleases God, not how good we can live, how good we can, not.
Yeah. And to Pastor Eric's point, he is Yahweh Sikkenu, Yahweh Makedesh, the Lord who sanctifies us, the Lord who makes us holy. We cannot make ourselves holy. It is only by the faith that we have in Christ. Ladies, I'm coming to you. Listen, Deanna, you're married, right? Bianca and I are unmarried. That word single I used earlier, delete that from your category, from your vocabulary. You're not single, you're unmarried, right? So
I got some words for the unmarried.
yes, you got some words for the unmarried.
Got some
wow,
words for the
let's hear
unmarried.
what you got to say, girl.
Not married to the proper husband that Yahweh had chosen for me until I was 46 years old. And see, everything was a game to me. And I'm taking from someone that's had lived a very colorful life.
Okay.
And what I want to bring to the attention to the unmarried is I used to be a flirt. I flirted. There was not an ugly man in my view. They were all beautiful to me. So they were beautiful in one way or another. Everybody was beautiful. And I would flirt with everybody. But I didn't flirt with them because I loved them, because I wanted to marry them, because I wanted to submit to them and treat him like a king and be there for him all my life. I flirted with him because I wanted his attention. I flirted with everybody because I wanted their attention. And I want you to be aware of what kind of pitfalls and traps that leads you into. It leads you into relationships that you don't even want to be in. It leads you into saying things that you do not mean.
Wow.
It leads you into all kinds of darkness just because you wanted that attention. And so that is my word to the unmarried is don't flirt, just be still and wait on God, because when he does bring the one he chose, like in the Bible, they chose the father chose the bride, the husband for his daughters. The father that loved his daughter took a lot of thought and a lot of care when he chose that husband for his daughter. He didn't just choose any old because he didn't care. Unless he didn't care and he was just after the money, then you did not have a holy father. But I'm here to tell you, you do have a holy father. And he will choose the perfect spouse for you. And I can testify to it. And and when he does bring the one chosen for you, you will know, you will not doubt. It won't be like, I don't know, is he the one for me? Maybe he's not the one for me, or is she the one for me, or is she not the one for me? It's not a question. You will know. And that's what I wanted to say about that. And as far as man be alone, you're right, we're not meant to be alone, because if we were alone, we could not practice the words of Christ. You can't turn the cheek and put others first and consider other people's feelings. And if you're alone all the time, you can't eat his flesh, his words,
So you couldn't practice
drink his
that.
blood, which is practicing his word.
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to practice
Wow.
what the Holy Spirit is growing you up in.
So you need a person in your space to be able to do that.
Yes, you have to be around other people in order to care and show and use the, like, love is patient, love is kind, love is long suffering, it's not easily angered. So if you find yourself in your heart and your mind and you're ranting about your spouse, may I just offer a little bit of advice for you to just stop and look at your spouse and look right, or even if you can't look right into their eyes, if they're not in that, just to watch them, just hush everything up and just watch your spouse. Watch your wife ironing those clothes. Watch your husband fixing that car or mowing the grass, and just watch them for a minute and just look at them, and you will find Yahweh will open that door and bring those, oh, I am so thankful that they are my spouse. I'm so glad I don't have somebody, or whatever. He'll bring it right back to you.
Wow. And so for you all who wants to know about the unmarried and married, Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 7 and 8. Bianca, you were just talking about that. You said, why did Paul say he advised us not to get married? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, as a seeker of the word, when I heard it, I needed context around it. I wanted to know, was like, wait, is that the preferred way to live? So I was, I'm very curious. And so I wanted to understand why, I thought Jesus said it, but it turns out that Paul said it, you guys said. And I got the context around it. If it's doing the work of God, then, maybe it's best to stay unmarried from my understanding of it. But if you ache and you desire love, then
wow,
it is
ache
available
and
to you.
desire love. That. Oh, wow. So the thing about that, as believers in the church, Pastor E, I'm going to blame the church for this. When I say church, I'm not talking about ecclesia, which is the separated ones. I'm talking about what we do in church, in the building. We have taken relationships and forced it upon people like Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry and all of these folks who are telling folks what they want to hear, right? A manipulative strategy to sell books and whatever. So the church itself have not addressed the issues that people have about sex, about romance, about all of these things. And it's terrible, and we're losing our generation. So while you do that, I'm going to welcome our guest on to this show, right? Her name is Etera. I've known her. I've seen her, this little girl grow up. We call her Sissy affectionately. And she's gonna come on set and she's gonna talk about all the little stuff that's going on in the world of her school and dynamics, because young people have a lot to say. So with that being said, come in, let us welcome our guest. Come on, girl, come on here. Let us welcome you onto the set. All right. Have a seat here. Yes. So Pastor E, when we talk to this young Zoomer, the Generation Z, tell us where we messed up as a body of believers, not really talking about what's really happening in the world, man.
In the world as it relates to relationships?
Yeah, relationships, because the church was supposed to handle that. That's our job.
I don't believe in separating children from real life. You know, I believe that a child should see a mother and a father show affection. I think that a mother and a father, or parents, should allow the child to see and to learn about the ups and downs in relationships. We fail, the churches fail, when we separate the children off into their own little world in children's ministry, because there is no children's ministry in the Bible. Wow. Our life is a ministry to the children. And I think that there has been a separation that has happened in the church, and we turn our children over to the world. We turn our children over to the media. We turn our children over to other forces that tell them what relationship is supposed to be like, that teach them how to handle adversity. I understand there are some things that we should shield our children from, even within the family structure. But then there are some things that we should allow them to see, because as we have this beautiful young lady here coming up in a whole nother generation, a lot of them are going to decide whether they want to be in a relationship or whether they want to be married based on how they've seen it, in
their homes.
What happens to me? That's what happens
And I
to me.
know this young lady have seen a positive relationship in her home and what marriage looked like. Tara, listen, you got an audience of people out here who's saying, these old folks don't know what they're talking about. Tell us from your perspective, Generation Z, what's going on?
I think that Generation Z is trying to break generational curses.
Yes.
And I think that Generation Z is also is in the season of idolization. And I think that what the church didn't do is realize that we should be, even though we don't have our spouse right now, we should be grateful and thankful for the path of singleness and wait on God for the spouse that He has for us.
Wow. So is there that little boy out there trying to talk to you? What's up? Tell her. No, I'm not gonna mess with her business. Listen, but check. But what I'm saying, what kind of young man can step to you? What kind of young man can step to you?
A man that believes in God and realizes that, yes, that God, He does have a spouse or someone for, all of us, but we just need to idolize that relationship with Him first. And if a guy can go up to you and say, I love you, but I love God first, and I'm willing to do anything for God more than I would be willing to do anything for you.
Hallelujah.
Wow.
Let me ask you this. When we know that, Christ being the head of the church, the church, the man being the head of the house, and like the tier that it goes down. When I was your age, I was very stubborn and nobody could tell me what to do.
Right.
And how is it sitting in the generation today? Like, are girls willing? Do they think along those lines? Like, I want a husband that I can respect and believe in so much that I can just submit to him and not worry that I'm not going to trust his decisions about the house or the bills or does that even come into play?
No, sorry.
Oh no, I think that that's another thing that the church has kind of quote unquote failed to do to help teach children about the idea of femininity, and masculinity, because there's a whole different perspective of that now. And as believers, it's hard to, I know for me in the beginning of my relationship, it was hard to understand what is it to be submissive? What is it to be feminine? What is it to be masculine? There's so many things that Gen Z right now has idolized with that. So I think we just need to learn how to teach others about what it is to be submissive, and it starts with God. It starts with being submitted to God and His word and what He wants for us, and then He'll teach us what it is to be submissive in a relationship.
Exactly. So that's why I tell the girls, you know, when you're thinking about a husband, Nate, don't just settle for the boyfriend because he's showing you some attention or whatever.
Right.
Really think about the future. Like, am I going to respect this man? Am I going to believe that he's going to take care of me in my home? And am I going to be able to submit to what he says? He is the bottom, you know, the last word.
I have a
Trust
question.
and respect.
I have a question for you. You know, I know it's been an ongoing theme through this conversation about the church not doing something, or the church not setting a proper standard. Was that ever supposed to be the church's, or when I say the church, and I hate using that word because most people tie the church to a building but we are the church.
Right.
And I think the institution that we call the church is not a place that you guys should look to. And can I ask you an honest question? When you think about relationships, you think about, you know, the things that matter to you in a relationship, are you really looking to the church to give you direction for that?
Well, to answer your question, no. However, as a church, you know, as you said that we are the church, we do look for the church to sharpen each other. You know, in Proverbs 27:17, it says that as iron sharpens iron, another person sharpens another. We're supposed to help one another and help one another in the community and everything like that. Yes, we can be dependent on God and whatnot, but it's also great to learn about different perspectives in our community.
Absolutely.
Who's to teach us?
Yes.
And I got to step in, guys, because Pastor E and I, we will probably have dialogue about this forever. We can go on and debate and scholarly talk about this from a theological standpoint. But when I speak of the church, I'm talking about those within the church who has the responsibility while there is a gathering. In other words, if we can't really deal with things within the church, then it really doesn't exist. There's no relevance for it. So when we get people in the building, we've got to talk about finances. We've got to talk about sex. We've got to talk about you know, what's right, what's wrong, relationships. That's all got to be dealt with. And as people have gathered in the building, it has not been dealt with because we're entertaining too much. We're doing stuff outside of what Christ asked us to do. The church was our first educator, and it is still supposed to be our first educating system. And so she's right that it's not being addressed, but it needs to be addressed. We don't need to leave it for Steve Harvey to tell us that a woman should wait like she's working in a plant or a production company 6 months before she has sex with a guy to give her cookies, because that's a manipulating tactic. That is a witchcraft in the church. When we come up with our own ways on how we're going to win somebody or whatever, that was taken away from us, Eric. And we got books written on it. People have bought these books. People have invited Steve Harvey into their churches to say that. But preachers know that this is witchcraft because we cannot manipulate people. Am I right about it?
But I also wanted to add something to that. That's why, you know, Generation Z is also idolizing the idea of a relationship, because sometimes we don't get the form of the relationship in a church. That's why some people in Generation Z, they go to other things. They go to other celebrities and everything about the relationship, because the church or the community of Christians, of believers who are just trying to learn about God and learn about relationship, they're not getting that. They're not getting that actual advice on what it is to have a godly relationship. So yes, they're going to go after other things.
Question. Is there instruction for that type of relationship in the book?
Well, I think there is, to the degree of, there is some instruction. And see, here's where the enemy has attacked the family unit, okay, is the single parenting. Because when the single parent has to work, the mama is not, there was a time when the mothers taught the children. I wasn't taught how to cook, how to take care of a home, how to take care of your man, how to treat him like a queen, how to treat him.
Some of them,
I'm used to being treated like a
some of them
queen.
want to be treated
Yeah,
like
queen. Don't treat like a queen. Treat him like a king, and like to make him. Earlier I had mentioned something about men have egos, women have vanity. Men have egos. So a man is important to him to be respected. It's important to him to be trusted. It's important to him, hey, don't even trust me to make decisions, to pay the bills, it's important. Respect is important to them. Respect is important to a woman too, as respect to her body and her privacy and stuff. But as far as respect that someone's going to trust you to take care of things, that's not really the kind of respect that we zero in on so much, Now, the vanity in a woman wants to be loved, beautiful. I want to be the most beautiful woman in the world to my husband. I want to be all that, there's nobody else he wants.
Is that in the book?
He wants.
He's supposed to treat you as Christ loved the church. Listen, our time is almost up on this episode, but do you see the dynamics? Do you see the dichotomy? Do you see the generations that we have to deal? Let's give it up for our guest. You know what? She gave us some stuff that we could learn. That lets you know that there is a generation out there who's seeking truth. This is what this podcast is all about. You're going to want to subscribe to us. Listen, I want to give you an opportunity to give the Lord Jesus Christ your life right now. So we're going to end this with prayer and ask the Lord to really, really show you where you are in your life, to really show you what you need to be deciding on and the mistakes that you need to stay away from. We just ask the Lord to bless you with that. Father, give this individual, anyone who's seeking you for divine revelation on what to do, where to go, and who they can trust. Father, allow them to be connected with a mentor, someone, God, who can take them by the hand and could also be that one for them that will tell them all about godly counsel. And Father, you said in your word, blessed is the man and the woman that does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, does not stand in the way of the sinner, does not sit in the seat of the scornful, but they delight their mind and their hearts in the law of the Lord, and in his law do they prosper in. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on our next episode. We're going to continue this conversation. It is awesome.